This is a bit of a lengthy video, but I promise you, if you have a 401k, it's something you need to see. I had to ban a guy last night because he was going off on and on and on about how I should lose my license, be sued, all this stuff because I'm talking bad about the 401k. It's not me talking bad about the 401k. Yeah, I don't like them. I've had several. I cashed it out. But listen to all these gurus out there who are telling you the same thing.
Now we refer to you as the father of the 401k. And at the end of your book, many years later, 4 decades plus, you write, income adequacy will continue to be a major issue in the years ahead. In fact, every retirement system in existence will probably be severely tested. Does that include the current state of 401ks, in your opinion?
No question, Adam. It was never intended to be the primary vehicle for saving for retirement. And, all these plans are subject to the ups and downs of the stock market. And it's very obvious with 401ks. But what people who are in pension plans don't realize is they have the same financial risk. They just don't know it. They're not aware of it. Many people at retirement are going to have to make some really tough decisions about how to make this provide an income for their life for 20, 30 years. And one way to do that is what is called a guaranteed monthly lifetime income annuity.
2008, when I saw so many people losing half of all they developed their lifetime, their retirement, I learned so much about the abuse that happens to the average person. It's mind-boggling.
Well, you are a board member at America's Best 401k.
Yes.
And you've specifically looked into the fees.
This is the most amazing thing. It's a $4.4 trillion industry that for 30 years, they didn't have to tell you what they were charging you. Only 3 years ago, the Department of Labor changed the rules and said you got to tell people what you charge them. One, fees matter and you're paying them. A 1% in fee, because of the compounding over time, costs you 10 years of retirement income. You have 76% more money if you have less fees, or on the other view, you have 19 years less income. So people don't understand that fees matter.
When I talk to most idiots out there, they go, oh, I have a 401k. Well, you've been sold a bill of goods, sweetheart.
What do you think maybe went wrong with the 401k?
The thing that bothers me about 401k, the most, actually two things. One are fees. Many participants are paying too high fees. But the other thing, Prince, for small businesses is many of them are being sold 401k plans, and there are better alternatives.
The fees. What are good fees and what are bad fees?
Well, the best fee arrangement, 2.75% a year. That's just outrageous. When they could be investing as for as little as 0.25% or 0.5% rather than 2.75%.
It was never intended to be the primary vehicle for saving for retirement.
October 27, 2023, Dave Ramsey said you should stop investing in a 401k. Let's say you have $1 million in your nest egg when you retire. It's a pretty nice stash. What if that $1 million was in a traditional 401k? Well, you have to pay taxes on every penny withdrawn retirement. Depending on your tax bracket and what the tax rates are when you retire, you could wind up spending hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes to Uncle Sam throughout your golden years. That's a hard pill to swallow, especially after you've worked so hard to build your nest egg. Here's something else to think about. No one knows how the tax brackets or tax percentages will change in the future, especially if you're still decades away from retirement. Do you want to take that risk? And Dave continues to say, like it or not, it's hard to separate emotions from investing. Imagine getting to your retirement years and watching your $1 million nest egg reduced to less than $800,000 because of taxes. You'd much rather pay taxes now than see all that money fly out the door later. You'll miss $100,000 in retirement and a lot more than $100 in a paycheck now.
In my book here, the New Retirement Savings Time Bomb, I have a whole chapter on this. Even though I don't sell life insurance, I want to make that clear. I'm a CPA, a tax advisor. But as a tax advisor, I have to tell you, the tax benefits, the tax exemptions for life insurance are among the single biggest benefits in the tax code and not used nearly enough.
Let's just say you start off with $100,000 in your account, and then something like 9/11 happens or '08 happens, the worst market crash in history. It's down 50%. Now in year two, instead of 100,000, you have 50. In year two, what happens? Usually when we have recessions, we have expansion. Let's just say it springboards right back off the trampoline, and now you make a 100% return. So that means you're back up to 100,000, right? So Shannon, how much did you earn? But what was your average rate of return that advisors are always telling people, what they earn? If you divide those out, you get 25% is your average rate of return. Now, I sold you a bill of goods on guaranteeing you a 25% return. If I told you in the beginning of all this, hey, look, if I show you an illustration that has a 25% guaranteed average return, how much would you give me for that?
Everything I have.
Okay. So now I just showed you a way of displaying an average rate of return, but you actually were nothing.
Tell us what's the worst advice you've ever received?
Anything Dave Ramsey said. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you're not.
I mean, if you actually want to stop working one day, you have to take back control. Retirement planning doesn't work. It hasn't worked. Like the stats as of today, 50% of all baby boomers only have $100,000 saved up. They've heard all the same retirement planning advice that we hear. If the average baby boomer has $100,000 saved up and they've listened to the same advice that we are hearing about you take your money, you save it, you invest it, S&P 500 mutual funds, and you just freaking wait. We would be insane. Think about the transaction of retirement planning. You said you want to retire. Yep, I want to retire. Okay, cool. We're going to sell you this thing. This thing is going to help you retire. Okay, cool. How do I know if it works? Oh, we're both going to revisit this in 30 or 40 years and see if it worked out. By definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. Retirement planning over and over has been proven not to work.
I have a lot of money in my 401k.
Okay, I'm sorry for you.
Why do you feel sorry for it?
You will wish you would have sold it when you were 50 because you'd pay low taxes, dude.
It's a way to put money in without paying taxes on it.
It's a way for you to be trapped for 30 years. How
Taxes
old
on
are you
it.
right now? 50. 13 years from now, will taxes be higher or lower?
Higher. Well, you can pull it out when you're
63.
You don't pay any taxes when you pull out money out of your 401k if you wait until you're 63.
When you start using that money, you're going to pay taxes, bro. You weren't charged taxes while it sat there. What's wrong with you? So they're going to charge you a penalty. They're going to put handcuffs on you to sell it before then. But dude, when you're 63 years old, when you start withdrawing, you're going to start paying taxes at that point.
Yeah,
They're
right.
gonna be
401k withdrawals are taxes in.
Exactly. You're not
IRS allows penalty-free withdrawals from retirement accounts after the age of 59 and a half.
penalty-free, not tax-free.
2008, and the market is crashing.
What in the world is happening on Wall Street? Two-year note yields went from 190 to 166 in the blink of an eye.
Everything and more has been completely wiped out. It was the worst day on Wall Street since the crash of 1987.
You have $100,000 in your retirement account. When the market crashes 20%, how much would you have after the crash? If you said $60,000, you are correct. Now, what if the next year the market had a 40% gain? How much money would you have then? If you said $100,000, you would be wrong. You would only have about $84,000. But wait, how do I have only $84,000 when I started off with $100,000 and then I lost 40%, but I gained 40% back? This is called break-even. When you lose in a market downturn, you're now playing a game of catch-up to get back to where you once were. You lose momentum, continually trying to play catch-up every time the market dips. What if instead you captured the market gains, and when the market takes a loss, instead of losing money, you plateau and lock in your gains? You would no longer need time to play catch-up. Your money would have more growth. This is one more reason why people look to put their money into vehicles that are secure.
If I said to you, Brandon, here's the deal. I want you to make an investment with me. Here's how it's going to work. I want you to give me your money. You're going to put up all the money. You're going to take all the risks. If it loses money, if it loses everything, you lose everything.
There's no consequence here.
Yeah, no, you put up all the money, take all the risk, you take all the losses. But if you make money, and even if you don't make money, I get paid.
Right.
And I get, over the course of your lifetime of investing, 30, 40 years, I'm going to take 60%. Would you make that deal?
Nobody would. But they don't know that they are all day long.
That's right. If that is what you do with the average mutual fund today. Because the average mutual fund with Forbes is 3.1%. If you're in a 401k, instead of saving money, many times you add all the other fees, according to Forbes, it's 4.1%. What that does to your ability to ever get financially free is it basically decimates it. And how's that possible? Jack Bogle, the head of Vanguard, taught me this. He said, Tony, watch. Because people don't know. They don't do the math. For every 1% you give away over the course of your lifetime, that's approximately 20% of your total take.
This is certainly not part of Larry Gessick's retirement plan. The 77-year-old electrician by trade leaves at 5:30 a.m. and heads for his part-time job unloading trailers at a local supermarket in St. Petersburg, Florida for $14.75 an hour. His wife, Joyce, 66, prepares for her workday, making $14 an hour as a full-time legal administrator.
It's not really a retirement.
What is it?
It's working every day.
The Gessicks came out of retirement not because they wanted to, but because they had to, and are among the 11 million Americans, 1 in 5 over 65, who are still working.
It's hard. 77, still busting my butt.
So I call it the work, retire, repeat syndrome.
Labor economist Teresa Gillard-Ducci says work is the new retirement.
More than half of the people who are retired right now do not have enough money to be retired.
Who's to blame for all of this?
I blame policymakers who experimented with our retirement system 40 years ago, and they are not saying the experiment failed.
That experiment is what we know today as the 401k, named after part of a 1978 law that offered companies an alternative to the traditional pension plan.
The thought was that Americans just need a little bit of financial literacy, and they could just save on their own.
But in fact, many of today's older workers were never taught enough about saving and investing for retirement.
I grew up on a farm. Nobody there instructed any of us to put money aside and make your own way.
It was never intended to be the primary vehicle for saving for retirement.
There you go. You just heard from Ted Benna, who was basically the inventor of the 401k. He's called the father of the 401k. You heard from Tony Robbins, who worked as the board of directors for America's best 401k. You heard from Grant Cardone, who is a nationally recognized multi-billionaire. You heard from Dave Ramsey. Surely to God you know who that is. Even he's on board. Then you heard from Teresa Gillard-Ducci, who's a nationally recognized labor economist, plus several other people. And guess what? They're all saying the same thing. Yes, the 401k, which is an IRA, is a failed system. She went on record and said, it's an experiment we've been running for 40 years and we pronounce it a failure. If you think about it, they're all saying the same thing. If you have money in an IRA, a 401k, a 403b, a 457, a Roth, a TSP, it doesn't matter. You can lose money. You can run out of money. you are paying massive fees. Yes, I said massive fees. They are massive. If you would like to chat and see if an annuity or another option might be best for you, click the link in my bio. You'll see my email address. Click on that, shoot me a message. I'll be the one to reply. Let's set up a time and chat.